Well, to start, tell us who you are and what you do.
So my name is David Kim. I'm a senior game designer on StarCraft 2, and I work on the multiplayer gameplay design.
Thank you. And you are?
I'm Jason Huck. I'm the senior level designer on StarCraft 2, and I worked on the campaign.
Nice. So, do you want to start?
Okay, I have a question. Would it be possible in the future to join the game during the game? That observers wouldn't lag the game, that be somehow, not together, but...
Yeah, I think that's a really cool suggestion, but I don't think we have plans for that right now at this moment, but I'll definitely bring it up with the online guys.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm a caster, low-level caster, and inside the observer mode you introduce a few things like a Nidus worm popping on the map. And will you consider include a scan for the Terran sign on the map too? Or?
We don't have plans for that, but I guess, yeah, that's an interesting idea, I think, but usually it's not that difficult to find where he's scanning, right? Because it kind of shows on the minimap, especially like if I'm scanning someone's base, it kind of clears up, and then you hear the sound. Yeah.
Yes, question.
I've heard that Vikings on the ground are very weak. Yeah. So I heard the propositions, the suggestions that they could have a premium for armored units or something like that. Are you trying to do something with the ground Viking?
No, so what we learned with, say, like the Hellbat versus the Hellion is if both modes of the same unit are very useful in different areas, it's very difficult for us to kind of tune that unit. So the Viking, it has been a unit that's primarily air unit, air counter only, and on the ground it's just a recycle, and we kind of like want to keep it that way because we want to deal with the current Heart of the Swarm issues first before we do anything with the existing stuff that are already working decently well.
Okay. After watching the EM and the launch event, have you started thinking in the next balance patch? Do you have any idea, a tweak?
No, I think that's way too early. Right now our focus is making sure that the balance is really tight for high level play. So in the next few months, our focus will strictly be on that. And once the game kind of settles into a more consistent state, that's when I think we will start worrying about what can we do to fix potential issues that may arise in Heart of the Swarm.
Okay.
There are many myths about warhounds, which were in alpha, in all beta reports, in beta, and then I can't remember, 2 or 3 weeks after opening the beta, you removed them all. Why? Because they were just OP, or
no.
Create that situation.
Yeah, a lot of people think that. A lot of people think we removed the Warhound because it was OP, but OP is just numbers. We can fix it to make it work. But the main reason why we removed the Warhound is because its role overlaps too much with the Marauder. So we have the Marauder in the barracks, and then Warhound minus the graphics, minus like the cost differences. It was pretty much a Warhound. It was pretty much a Marauder that comes out of the factory. And initially, we thought we had to do that. We needed that overlap, but when going into the beta, we realized between Hellions, Hellbats, Widowmines, Siege Tanks, and Thors, that Marauder role is decently, it's well covered on the mech side of things, without having to have that exact same unit. And we generally don't like having 2 of the same units, especially on the same race. So that's why it was removed.
Okay. And after working for months in the Warhound, how did the team felt after having to take it off?
So we do this a lot, especially before the release of the beta. We take units in and out constantly. So we try to focus ourselves in not being too attached to an idea, but rather, so for example, I would try really hard, even if I brought in a new unit idea, to be kind of more objective about it, right? Just because it's my idea, I shouldn't push it. Like, I should really try to evaluate, is this unit good for the game? And that, because that is a more important goal, none of us on the team were too hurt by the Warhound coming out, leaving the game. But
Okay.
yeah.
Many Protoss players are happy with the Mothership Core unit, but fact is that Head of the Swarm is a young game, but now the Mothership Core, which was kinda useful in Wings of Liberty, maybe this Vortex was so live or die, but now nobody plays Mothership Core because players say that
Mothership, you mean?
Mothership,
Yeah.
because there is useless.
Yeah. So our general thinking in not just the mothership, but also units like units that don't have a lot of skill differentiation. So for example, high diamond player using the mothership versus the highest level pro level player using it, the difference is very minor compared to say like if a pro player was to use a stalkers versus if a high diamond player uses stalkers, the difference is huge, right? So what we learned in Wings of Liberty, especially with the mothership, is that units like that are not fun to see as core units. And the reason is simple, because it kind of looks like, well, I can do the same thing with Vortex because it's just a one-click ability, right? So for those units, we do want to limit so that they are not core units. So I'm not saying we should never see the mothership, but I think one of the coolest factors for the mothership could be that it's so rarely seen, right? So if we go back like 2 years, whenever motherships came into play, it was cool to see because you don't see it that often, right? But towards the end of Wings of Liberty, where motherships were always built in late game PvZ, it wasn't that cool. And a lot of people, especially in the forums, and a lot of pro players were saying, man, like it's not that fun seeing the mothership so often, right? So our general stance on that is we want it decently good so that players use it sometimes, like here and there, but we don't want to see it every game like we did in Wings of Liberty.
Okay. Well, in the last ask me anything in Reddit, you say a group of players was helping, feedbacking the team about the balance. Can you tell us who players are there or not?
Oh yeah, it just changes over time, I think, because not every player is always tuned in. But I think personally, I think the best person that gives the best feedback on a more consistent basis is one of the casters at GSL, Engine. But recently, we've talked a lot with players like Linok, MC, Parting, pretty much a lot MVP, like a lot of the top players in the world. Yeah.
Nice. And do you have plans to continue the feedback between you and them?
Definitely feel the need to do that. I think we not only have to keep in tune with the community, but I think keeping in contact with pros at all times and really figuring out which pros are a little less biased and which pros really give us valuable feedback, I think is a super important part of the process.
So there is also a myth, maybe it's too early to ask this question, that in Legacy of the Void there will be no new units for the multiplayer.
We haven't even started on multiplayer Legacy of the Void, so it's kind of impossible to
It's a myth,
predict.
just.
Yeah. Yeah. We do struggle a little bit with the fact that the unit counts are getting kind of too much, and the problem with that is if there are too many choices, then that's not necessarily a good thing, because then the game becomes a little too random, a little too much of a dice roll. So we really have to walk that line and really figure out what's right for the game.
Okay. After you patch the game a lot from time to time. Has a specific patch surprised you in the outcome of the change in gameplay?
Not yet, and I think that's because pro players haven't been playing that much yet in Heart of the Swarm, but I'm almost 100% sure that we will see surprises sometime soon.
Before? In Wings of Liberty, maybe?
Oh, in Wings of Liberty we saw a lot of things, actually, right? Like Marine King, for example, when he started doing the Stir Step micro, that kind of changed how Terrans were playing completely. So stuff like that, right? So, and like Infestors is another good example, because they actually started off at a certain point, and we kept buffing it because everyone thought it was underpowered, no one was using it, and then we kept nerfing it to almost the same state as they were before, right? So I think it goes both ways, right? Like sometimes we're kind of surprised at how awesome the players are, and sometimes we're surprised at, oh, how come they didn't think of this 6 months ago, kind of thing, right? Yeah, so it goes both ways, I think.
We have in Heart of the Swarm clans, which works now like a groups.
Yeah.
What is planned to do with the clans? Some tournaments, some leagues, and probably when?
I think that's up to the community, because like if you wanted like a clan tournament, you can set that up. But for us, I think it's more important that we open up those options for players, rather than just deciding the specifics for everyone. And I think that's just our general direction, not just with clans, but with arcade or everything else as well.
Okay, and some time ago, Twitch announced they released an API for developers. Are you planning to integrate Twitch into the client of the game?
Wait, which
Twitch.
The streaming web? To see tournaments and all the
I
stuff?
don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the actual plan is for
That's
that.
up to-
Well, you are balanced
That's
guy,
like business.
yeah.
That's like there's
Yeah, we just work on
licensing
the game.
involved, and there's all sorts of business things that would have to happen.
Yeah, for
right?
sure. Yeah.
So we wouldn't know
Nothing
that.
to announce at this time.
Yeah.
No, we just don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that would be cool for esports.
Yeah, for sure. But we do have the ESL thing. Did you guys see how we announced? I mean, we advertised esport on our client.
Yeah.
ESL, the last one.
Yeah,
that one was cool, right?
Also, I heard the suggestion. Where is the box with the featured groups?
Yeah.
Maybe there should be just a little window with your favorite chat, with favorite group or something like that. Because sometimes rolling through all these chats you have in the...
Okay, if you join too many. That's actually a good suggestion. Yeah, we should bring it up with online team.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's
Okay. Well, let's talk to you a bit. Well, in Win Celebrity campaign, there were a lot of different missions and gameplay. Are you in this campaign proud of any level in particular?
Oh yeah, I think overall every level is just as good or better in Wings of Liberty. I mean, we came up with all sorts of new ideas, and really, it's a more focused game, just around Kerrigan. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just as good.
Okay. And we see a lot of Easter eggs too, like Song of Movies in achievements and little things everywhere that reminds us of pop culture. Does the whole team bring up all these Easter eggs, or is there a guy thinking about?
No, everyone has a good idea. I mean, like artists come up with great ideas. Everyone just says like, "Oh, it'd be funny to do this," and we're like, "Yeah, that'd be great. Let's." It all comes down to time, really. Like, do we have time for the Easter eggs, essentially? So.
And now a bit for the two. And in multiplayer levels, there are input for only the level team and the balance team to cooperate together to make good multiplayer maps.
It's a bit of both.
Yeah, totally. It's a lot of people. I mean, that's a very easy thing for everyone to feel like they're part of that experience. I mean, 'cause it's so easy to work on a level like that and provide feedback and it's quick iteration and everything. So yeah.
And what do you think about the Team Liquid map contest that you guys picked the best maps to play on the ladder? Do you like the maps and the new ideas in them?
Well, yeah. I mean, like we get a lot of awesome creative ideas from the community, and it may not always fit with like our goals for the game, but definitely there's some really interesting stuff that they come out with. I mean, for me, like aesthetically, I think a lot of them are really interesting looking. There's been some interesting new art styles they've come up with on their maps. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Are you preparing any special map like Chef of Fire and Star Jeweled and all that kind of maps? It's been a long time since they released the arcade games.
Star
Fire,
yeah,
all that.
No, we're not working on anything new right now. We're kind of focused on Heart of the Swarm, really. But so no.
Okay.
Nothing to announce at this time. But you never know.
Yeah.
What was more or less that's all.
Okay.
Do you have any?
Anything to add?
Yeah, I think it's easy to forget that the development team is always watching every single tournament, and our highest focus right now is to make the balance really solid. So please try to understand if we take our time to really make sure if a certain thing is an issue, and we'll try our best always to make sure to make the game as awesome as possible for you guys. Thanks.
Nice.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.